Hello everyone and welcome to the second day of the Superbet Poland Rapid Tournament. It is Anish Giri versus Wei Yi. It's been a while since we've seen Wei Yi back at the board. And regarding the Magnus versus Kirill Shevchenko game, as a lot of you guys were really hoping to see that one, after 3 games and a 100% winning rate for Kirill, the game against Magnus ended with a draw. So Kirill is still leading the tournament, but the game isn't all that exciting for me to show, but I just want to get that in. But here we have the return of Wei Yi over the board, and a lot of you have been asking about the ratings, because what are these ratings? These are not classical ratings, these are not their rapid ratings, and this is rapid chess. No, this is their URS, or rather universal rating system, and it's something that's been in use since 2017. I've never discussed it on the channel really, but to give you a better idea, because in classical chess, Wei Yi is world number 10 at the moment. Anish Giri is world number 15 on the live ratings list. And in rapid chess, Wei Yi is actually world number 3, bested only by Ding Liren and Magnus Carlsen. However, these are their universal ratings. And regarding universal ratings, just to give you the definition, every time a universal rating system list is calculated, all games within the previous 72 months or 6 years are collected into a single pool for analysis purposes. The ratings of all players are calculated simultaneously based on an overall weighted performance rating, with greater weight given to more recent game results. So it's not like you have all of these games over the past 6 years and then you just calculate the average rating. No, more weight is given to the more recent games. So if you've played brilliant chess 5 years ago, your rating will not be as impressive as if you've played a bit poorer over the past, let's say, 3 years, and then you've played miraculous chess, over the next 3 years. So it's a bit of a different system, but it gives us a better insight at how strong the player might be at the moment. So here, as you can see, Wei Yi's universal rating is 2758, whereas Anish's is 2687. So something definitely to take into consideration. But that's why they're different than, let's say, their FIDE Classical or FIDE Rapid. So that being said, let's check it out. It's quite a beautiful game. You guys will enjoy. Still haven't decided. Maybe 1, maybe 2 pause the video moments. We'll see how it goes. So Anish, with the white pieces, opens with pawn to d4. Knight to f6. We have pawn to c4, e6, knight to f3, and d5. We have the queen's gambit declined. G3, the Catalan opening, and now bishop to b4 with check. We have bishop to d2 and bishop back to e7. Usually you retreat to d6 or e7, or you defend the bishop with a5, capturing on d2 also can be played, but not that popular. Bishop to g2, we have castles by both of them, and sorry, not king f1. That would be, maybe if Wei Yi was playing white, but not the other way around. With knight b to d7, queen to c2, and pawn to c6. So a very standard position, been seen 1,000 times. Bishop to f4, again, the top move in the position. We have a5, and now rook to d1. Pawn to a4, we have pawn to a3, stopping any a3 ideas in the future, but also weakening the b3 square. So now if you put this knight, for example, to a5, then it comes to, or c5, then it comes to b3, could be a problem for white in the future. We have knight e4, an excellent square for the knight, and knight to c3. Of course, Anish challenges the knight. Knight captures, queen captures, and okay, we have some games where knight to b6 was played. Also f5 is a known move, but here Wei Yi plays pawn to g5, and it is now, as of move 13, that we have a completely new game. Okay, Anish has to go back. You could go back to e3 to c1. You probably have no idea. Anish chooses bishop to d2. The engine says you can pretty much play either of these moves depending on what kind of a game you want to play. But the bishop came from d2 to f4, so it looks a little bit weird, but it's perfectly fine. Pawn to f5. Wei already stating that this is going to be that kind of a game. Queen to c1, now stopping further advancement with pawn to f4, but also looking at attacking that pawn on g5. So pawn to g4 attacks the knight, knight to e1, and now we have knight to b6, putting pressure on the c4 pawn, c5, and knight to c4. Puts pressure on the bishop. Bishop to h6 attacks the rook, rook to f7, and now pawn to e3. And Wei Yi strikes in the center with pawn to e5. And it looks a little bit weird, because here Anish plays bishop to f1, attacks the knight here in order to remove the defender of the e5 pawn. and Wei Yi just goes back knight to a5, and he says, all right, it's a free pawn, if you want you can have it. And Anish wants it. He plays d, captures on e5, and knight to b3. Now forks the queen and the rook, but Anish says no problem, queen to c2. I have a healthy pass pawn on e5, I don't mind giving up this rook. It's probably not gonna see the light of day, and this knight is a monster piece, but Wei Yi not interested in trading active knight for an inactive rook. He plays knight captures on c5. Knight to d3, looking to trade knights, and he does. Knight captures, and now bishop to e6, and bishop back to f1, preparing pawn to h3 to eliminate these pawns in front of the white king. We have queen to e8 and rook 8 to c1. Now the rook becomes active, but as long as the pawn is on b7, nothing really to worry about, and it's not easy to challenge this base of the pawn structure. Rook to a5, very, very good square for the rook. You can put it on b5 later on if the bishop moves, for example, from f1, or even rook to c5, which is probably Wei Yi's main idea. We have pawn to h3, g captures, bishop captures, and now king to h8 and king to h2. Here the situation on the clock is Anish 5 minutes, Wei Yi 3 minutes on the clock, and we have queen to g8, saying that, okay, I will probably focus on the king side here, and Anish plays queen to e2. Here, the objectively best would be to play rook to d4. It looks very risky to just go after the pawn in a position like this, but that is what you probably should play here if this was a classical game. Just to give you an idea, rook d4, there's really no good way to defend the pawn. You could play pawn to b5, but then queen captures on c6 and your pawn structure falls apart. So you're probably going to play something like queen to g6, attack the bishop. Once the bishop moves, you're going to go rook to c5, attack the queen, and okay, you will do some damage here, but at the end of the day, the pawn will still fall. You're going to play something like h5, rook captures on a4. Anish would win a pawn, and okay, the situation on the king side is not alarming. So instead, after queen g8, Anish played queen to e2, and now we have queen to g6, attacking the bishop, bishop to f4, and now just rook to a8. And now Anish goes after the pawn. He plays rook to d4, but now pawn to h5. And okay, Wei Yi is a tempo up then in the line that we've shown where Anish was trying to win a pawn. Rook to g1, and now rook to h7. We have queen to c2, and now rook to g8. Wei Yi completely abandons the defense of the a4 pawn, and Anish, upon inspecting the position, for a few seconds, plays rook captures on a4. And the situation on the clock now, 2 minutes 40 seconds for Anish, a minute and 50 seconds for Wei Yi, and he goes pawn to h4. So you can see he is definitely ahead, up a move than he was in that previous line that we've discussed. Queen to d1, and now queen back to e8. And here, you should play pawn to g4. It's much better to open up the g file than to open up the h file. But Anish played pawn to b4, the move that usually is best in every position. This is one of those few where it's actually not. And we have h captures on g3 with check. Rook captures on g3. And now, well, I could tell you what Wei Yi played, but it's better for you to tell me. There's only one way to win this game for black. It's not an easy one, so feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea. Show us the way while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that I've almost picked up the piece before asking you to pause the video. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to g4. That is the move. And you get a pretty clear idea why. What is white to play here? And of course, bishop to h4 is coming in many of the lines. Now, you can't move the bishop. That's pretty clear. The rook is on the h file. And if you trade, well, you're just going to lose that bishop. You can't move it. And the pawn is defended by the bishop. So here, instead, after rook g4, queen to f1 was played. And now comes pawn to d4. Beautiful move, freeing up this diagonal for the bishop if needed. Rook to a7 by Anish, activating the rook, but it is much too late. We have bishop to h4, and not a lot to do here. The point is, if you move the rook, look at this. Bishop captures on f2. And there's no move here. If you capture the bishop, you just run into this exchange sacrifice, but then follows queen to h5 check. And after you give up the queen, it's going to be a nice checkmate. So after bishop to h4, bishop to g4 was played, now allowing some nasty discoveries, but first just bishop captures on g3 with check, king captures, and a nice f captures on g3. The queen is now also coming into the attack, and there's not much for Anish to try. He played pawn to e4, he's already a very long time, but it doesn't matter as position is completely winning for Wei Yi. Queen to h5, threatening checkmate, and Anish allows it. He plays pawn to f3, he even quickens it. He plays pawn to f3, and now just queen to h2, checkmate. Yeah, so what do you say about a game like this? I mean, Anish played some very strong chess, but Wei Yi completely outplayed him in a difficult position, and Anish, he could have gone for the pawn a move earlier, but then he just captured it when it was no time to capture a pawn, and he played this b4 move. Like I said, almost always winning here, it's actually losing, and Wei Yi, he took advantage of that in the best way possible. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very nicely done by Wei Yi. It's been a while since we've seen him on the channel. Looks like he's making a great return. And I will also mention the standings after after round 4 has been played. So Kirill still in the lead with 7 points, followed by Magnus and Donderbek with 5, Vincent, Duda, and Wei Yi with 4, Pragrananda, Darjo, Nergaisi, and Gukesh with 3. So all 3 Indians on 3 points, and Anish Giri after this loss last with 2 points. But yeah, incredible stuff by Wei Yi, and also incredible stuff by young Kirill, just dominating the field like that. And he is the bottom seed. He is the lowest rated player in the event. So yeah, starting with 3 out of 3 and then getting a draw against Magnus. I mean, he could be in for a tournament of his life. So I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Michael Hildebrand, Johan Hoiby, Lorenzo Tessiore, Fred Ackerman, and Chess Legend for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.